Hey guys, so let's begin with week 3's lessons. Now I may not be able to get through all of this in one stream, so I might have to split this up to today and tomorrow's streams. But yeah, let's get into this. Okay guys, so now we should be in week 3's lessons, Pine City Zoo, and I'm going to make sure my folder is all set up here. So this folder is where I store my course files. I'm going to create a folder for week 3 here. And I'm going to head into it and let's go back to see what's in the lesson. So we're in week 3 now, Pine City Zoo. It looks like we're building this app that they show here. And yeah, let's click on next here. So tips to make the most of this lesson: watch all the videos once, watch them a second time. In the second time, follow as you learn. We won't be doing this, we'll just be doing everything at once. And in this, I won't be going that fast because we're going to be seeing stuff here that we haven't seen before. But I am going to speed it up a bit because it's already the weekend. Week 4's lessons are coming soon. And yeah, I want to get through this as quick as possible. So a tour of the Zoo app. This is what it should be looking like. I'm just going to mute my audio here for a minute because I need to plug in my headset. Okay, so I've got my headset in now and we can go ahead and watch the videos without the audio from my speakers getting picked up from the mic. So yeah, this is a demo of what the Zoo app will look like. Okay, so I'm just going to click on next here. And now it's in section 1, set up your app. Add the menus and add the style sheet. Okay, so it's telling us what we're going to be doing in this section. So lesson 1, setting up the development environment. We're just going to create a folder here and we're going to create an index.html file. Yeah, basically the same as what we did in all of the other lessons. So I'm going to open this up in VS Code first. Let's create a folder here called images. And now I'm going to create the HTML file. But make sure before you click on create a file here, you unselect the images folder, or else it's going to create that file inside of the folder. So I'm going to click outside of it and then create a file here. And I'll call this index.html. Okay, so now we have our images folder and the HTML file. I'm going to hit exclamation mark here, which is shift and the 1 on the number pad. I think that's called the number pad, but anyways, we hit this exclamation mark and we press tab here and it will automatically fill this out. And then we just put our cursor here into the body, we save, and we head back to the lessons here. So I'm just going to skip through this to see if we missed anything.
Set up the environment for developing it, just like placed a sub. Now we're going to create two files in here. The first one, we're going to style CSS.
Okay, so we're just creating an index and a style.css file. Again, make sure you don't create that file inside the images folder. Okay, let's head to the next lesson now. So now we're making the home page. Let's follow along with this.
Read once more. Looking at the home page, we've got the header on the top, which says Pine City Zoo. Below that, we've got
going to download these images down
buttons,
here while we're
the animals,
watching.
map, and places buttons. In the main area, we've got the actual map, which you can scroll up and down. And as you can see, the banner as well as the row of buttons at the top does not scroll. It remains fixed. Alright, and at the very bottom, we've got two more buttons, the weather and the feedback tab. Now we're going to
paste it into this folder, I'm going to select the folder, going to open it, and then I'm going to click paste inside.
In my index.html page, I've already placed the web page template. So I've got the doc type, again, HTML open and close tags, the head open and close tags.
I'm going to select everything here.
I've put in the link to my style sheet, and finally I've got my body open and close tags.
And make sure you drag it into the images folder and
make sure is that in your images folder you already have
all the images folder.
Now, as you can see, I've got quite a few images. This app actually uses
and that doesn't
a
work
lot
as
of
well.
images.
Let's just extract
so I've got all my images inside my images folder. Alright, you can download these images from the link just below this video and unzip them and paste them into your images folder. Do that before you start coding.
Nope.
Now looking at my body tags, in the space between the body tags, this is where I'm going to start coding my app. I'm going to start with the header. Div ID is equal to,
then we'll copy all of these images and
header.
We'll actually cut them because
close
they're
that
mess right now.
And
we'll put them in the week 3 images folder here.
Tag placed for me inside there.
Okay, now everything should be
my
right
code.
here.
And in here, I'm going to place an image.
So the problem there was that it was in a zip folder, and I didn't want to extract it, so
the images
we had to do
folder.
all of that. But for you, just extract the folder, you download it, and then put the images into your images folder.
PNG. When you hover over this, you'll see it's the correct image. It's the Pine City Zoo image.
Okay, so you just made a div with the ID of header here, and then an image with the logo here. So I'm just going to do that quickly, and then we can follow along. So link style.css. You might have named yours differently or something. Just start typing the name, and this thing will pop up. And then press tab when this pops up to automatically put it here. If you named yours with the S, you have to put the S there. If you didn't use S, then don't put an S here, it won't work. It has to be exactly the same. So in the body here, I'm going to create a div with the header, and a shortcut to doing this is you just type out the name of the tag you want, like div, and then you use a hash symbol here, and you put header here. And if I hit tab now, it will create a div with the ID of header. And it puts my cursor in between the two tags, so I can press enter here, and now he wants a image with the logo. So img, and we set the source to images/logo. And I'm gonna get rid of this alt text here. So let's just save that and let's go live here. Okay, so that looks right. I'm just going to pop out the comments here in case someone says something. Okay, so let me pin this. I'll just leave it off to the side here. So yeah, let's continue with this.
/close. The next section is going to be my tabs at the top, the row of buttons. I'm going to call this one tabs top. Div ID is equal to href is equal.
Okay, so it looks like you just made a div with the ID of tabs top. We're going to do that as well. Remember, we use the hash symbol here and then the name of the ID, and that will automatically fill it in when we press tab. And then I think he's just putting the links in here. So let's go back and follow along.
Equal to Control D to add.
So he put 3 links for animals here. Let me just scroll down and see what he did here. So okay, 1 for animal, 1 for map, and 1 for places. So I'm just going to set it like this. And let's just do that quickly here. We'll do, nope, that's not what we wanted. We want an A tag with the hash here. And then here we'll do animals. Then we'll create another one, we'll use a hash here. And then we'll do, what was it? Map and places, okay. So the reason why we use this hash here is we can actually, like if I typed header here, when we clicked on this it would scroll to header. Hash is how we use a ID. But if we just type the hash alone, it means we're just redirecting back to the same page. If we don't put anything in here, the link won't actually show up as a link. So yeah, now if we head back to this, there should be 3 links down here. So let's go back to the video.
More home. Now notice how I'm giving all my divs names that are meaningful. When I look at the name of the div, I can
We'll go back
one
a bit.
I'll call the, and I've got my tabs top. Now I'm going to add a section for the main area of my website or of my home page. And this one I'll call.
Okay, so it looks like this main area
ID
here is just where he's displaying the map.
Dash.
So images/map.
Now notice how I'm giving all my divs names that are meaningful.
Okay, so he named it main.home, which I'm going to do here. Remember, at the top here we had a div with header, then a div with tabs top, and now we're creating a third div with the menu home, I think it's called. Main home. So div, we use the hash symbol again, and main-home, and we press tab. Now before I press tab here, know that if you like click out of this or something and then you come back and press tab, it won't work. You have to do that while you're typing it. So to fix this, you just delete one letter and type it again, and then you can press tab and it will work. So a div with the ID of main home, and then we're going to do an image here. The src is going to be images/map. And then I'm going to remove this alt thing here, and I'm going to say width 100. And if I save this and head back, it should look correct here. Let Let me make sure that's what he did here. Yes. Okay, so let's see what's next.
In here, I'm going to place 2 hyperlinks.
Okay, so you actually typed 100% here. I'm not sure why it just says 100 here. Yep, that looks better. I think they've mistyped the code here in the bottom part. So that's something to be aware of if you're following along from the website.
The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this
Okay,
in
looks like he's
our
putting more
browser.
links on the bottom here. It's just weather and feedback. And the ID is tabs bottom. Hit enter there, put an A tag, we'll use a hash here. And then this one was weather. And next one was feedback. Okay, let's save this and head back and see what it looks like. So now we have weather and feedback down here. So again, I'm going to head back to the App Academy here, and I'm going to click next because we have all the code here now. And now we're styling the header section. So I'm just going to hit play here.
By using 0 as a value, you don't need to put the px value or any other body tag. Alright, remember when you add a style for the body, it applies to the entire page. So the first thing we're going to do is give the body a padding of 0. Now remember, when you are using 0 as a value, you don't need to put the px value or any other value.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a bit.
Now once again,
and yeah, it looks like you just styled the body here, which the body basically styles the entire page, minus whatever you style yourself. So basically, even if we had nothing on this page and we styled the body with like a background of blue, the entire page would be blue. So yeah, let's create that body styling in our CSS, and we'll use padding 0, margin 0, and font family Helvetica. So it was padding 0, margin 0, and font family, it was Helvetica. Okay, so I'm just going to save it like that. And then next here, let's see what he does. He styles the hashtag header, which, remember, the hash means ID, so we're styling the ID called header here. And these are the things he puts in it. So position fixed. Yeah, let's just type that out along with him.
To recap, why do we put the hash here for header, but we don't put a hash or a dot for
so as
body?
I've mentioned, the hash means
for this
ID
is because the body tag
so we're styling
is
this
one
ID
of
here,
the built-in HTML tags, just like your H1, your PTML. So because it's an ID, now this alone will give you some idea of what we are trying to achieve here. We are giving it a fixed position. In other words, it will be fixed at the top of the page. So when you scroll your page up or down, the header will always remain fixed. Alright, so if the position is fixed,
okay,
we
so
need to now tell our style sheet exactly where this header is going to be fixed. It's going to be fixed at the top 0 pixels and left 0 pixels. So you've got top 0 pixels, left 0 pixels. In other words, the header will be positioned at the very top left of your
I'm just
screen.
going to pause this and explain that a bit. So let me refresh here, make sure everything is saved, And basically what we're saying here is we want the header to be at 0 pixels from the top and 0 pixels from the left here. So I hope that makes sense. For example, if we typed bottom 0, then it means we want this to be 0 pixels away from the bottom. So like right at the bottom, and I'll just show you that here. So now it's saying bottom 0 pixels, it means we want it to be 0 away from the bottom. So now it's right at the bottom here. So I put it back at the top here. Let's head back and see what he's doing.
Next, we give it a Z index. Now, what exactly is a Z index? We'll give it a Z index of 500.
So a Z index is like if you put two things on top of each other, which when you're doing fixture, you can see that things end up on top of each other. The Z index with the element with the highest Z index appears on top. So like if this was Z index of 500 and this image here was of 400, then the 500 is going to show on top. Whereas if the image was 500 and this was 400, the image is going to be above this. So this will be in the background. So yeah, we're just setting that to 500 here. Usually we don't use such huge numbers anyway, we use like 1, 2, 3 and so on. But anyways, let's just leave it at 500.
Now, the Z index means that the header will always be the topmost on your screen. Now, when I say top, I don't mean top as in horizontally up and down. Try and imagine the screen as up and down, left and right, and then there are elements that will be closer to the user or further away from the user. So in other words, by giving the header a Z index
just going to skip
of
through this a
500,
bit. So width is 100% and height is 80 pixels. And I'll hit save here. Let's head back and see. Okay, so it looks a bit bigger now.
Background image is called wood.
So now he's adding a background image to the thing here, because right now you can see it's just letters scrolling across, and it would be nice to have a background color here as well. And he's just using that images/wood.png. So make sure you've downloaded all the images in the previous lesson. So background image, let's do URL here and then images/wood. So it's wood-bg.png. I'll just save that and hit back. And now it's working, but it looks like it's way up here. So let's see what he does.
-bg.png. Alright, the letters BG stands for background. Finally, we're going to repeat the background. Remember, background repeat. Previously, we used no repeat. This time, we're going to use repeat X. So what?
Okay, so he's going to repeat it along the X-axis. And I'm just going to copy that as well here. And I can just select it from here instead of typing it out manually, so I'm just going to do that. If I head back here and reload, it didn't really change anything, but let's go back and see what he does.
This is going to do is, it's going to take our image and repeat it horizontally. So the image itself is small. What it's going to do is, it's going to place the first image and then immediately after that, it's going to repeat it and continuously repeat it until the full width of the screen has been achieved.
Okay, well I think mine was set to that
Next,
by
we're going to
default
style
because
the
it
header
was
image.
doing that originally.
which is the logo for the zoo. Alright, so the header image will get a display of type block.
Okay, let me go type that in as well. Header image. So when we're typing two things here with a space between it, it means we want the image tag which is within the header. So not all image tags, just the image tag that's within the header. So this is the header, and we only want the image tag that's inside of it. And let's see what he did here. So he did display block, margin auto. Okay, let's just type it in with him here. Margin auto. Let's head back and see what he does.
This means we will be able to adjust the width and height of this image.
I showed you what display inline and block is in my previous videos, so make sure you go check that out. And also, if you're watching along with this and following along, make sure you subscribe as well. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Now, margin auto is a very clever way to centralize an object in your screen. So this image will be centralized within its parent, and the parent of this image is obviously the header itself. So by setting the margin to auto, this image will be vertical, it'll be horizontal.
Just going to skip through this
so the image won't be overly huge. It won't be so big that it comes completely off the screen.
So
it will
set
be
height to
70% of the height of the header. And obviously, if you set the height, the width will set itself automatically.
So let's head back and see what this looks like.
We give it a padding top.
Okay.
Of 15 pixels.
Okay, let me just pause this for a second here. So at first I was thinking, why did he just scale up that background here, and the text was so huge here, but it looks like he just scaled down that text to fit in with the background. So this looks okay. I can actually see like a small gap here at the top, but since he didn't fix that in the video, I'm not going to fix it here as well. If you want to see how to fix all of that stuff, make sure you check out the other videos on my channel, because I go through all of this there as well, outside of this App Academy stuff.
Leave some space at the top of the image so that it is centralized vertically. Now let's take a look at this in our browser. You can see I haven't as yet refreshed the page. Here's our header. It's huge. It has a plain white background, and you can see the header logo image is so huge it doesn't fit on our screen. In fact, we just get the word pine in there. All right, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to save my style sheet, and then I'm going to refresh this. Control S to save and refresh. Fantastic. It's already taking shape. So there's my very smart wood grain finish background. The logo.
Okay, so let's just skip to the next lesson now. He added a padding top here. We haven't added that yet, so let me just skip a bit in the video and see if he does that.
Goes header, the part with the wood grain finish, is always above anything, and everything else that's going to scroll is always going to scroll using Z index. And
okay, I'm just going to type it in here. I didn't see him adding it, but it looks like it's there. Padding top, 10 pixels. Was it 10? It was 15. Doesn't really matter if you don't get the values exactly the same here, but you can fiddle with them and see what they do. But yeah, this is what he had it set to. Padding top of 15 pixels.
Refresh. That's going to scroll.
Let me go to the next lesson now. And now we're doing homepage styles, tabs top. So it looks like we're styling the top tabs here.
They appear just below the Pine City Zoo header.
Yeah, because right now we're blocking them with this. They're behind this.
And not behind. In fact, let's put this above. We'll make a copy of it. Control C to copy.
So here it's just showing you
Control
how to
V
put comments.
to paste.
And before this, let me pause this. So in VS Code, to create a comment, you just need to press Control and /. And in any language, this will make a comment. So I can do this in HTML as well. See, it makes a different type of comment here, because this is what a comment looks like in HTML, and this is what comment looks like in CSS. But I'm going to remove that. Comments are not really useful. They are useful for documenting your code, but they don't do anything to the actual web page. So I'm going to come back here.
And this one will say,
let's create the tabs top
so with
here.
each section that we are styling, we know exactly what part of the page we are styling. All right, now let's add some styling for our top tabs.
And again here,
the first thing we'll do,
import this. Make sure the hash things you have here are the same as the IDs you have here. So sometimes you might accidentally put like a P here, for example, and then now it won't be the same. So the stylings you put here won't match up with what's here. They have to be spelled exactly the same for it to work. And yeah. So it says you have one error, but it's actually just because I left this blank. Anyways, let's head back and watch the video.
Is we'll put in a hash tabs top. Again, the reason we put the hash is because this value. Now look at the header again.
So we're doing position fixed here.
The second thing is, just like with the header,
just enter that in quickly. Position fixed. And then we're doing top. And I'm not sure what he set it to, so let's head back.
Its top value. Now look at the header again. The top value is set at 0. And
okay, I get it. So what's happening here is he set the header, so the header image here, to top 0, so it starts at 0, and the height is 80 pixels. So it will end at 80 pixels, so this one should begin at 80 pixels if it wants to be under it. I hope that makes sense. So now you can see the links are under here. Well, actually you can't see because the image is covering it a bit. But yeah, it's there. You can see my mouse changes when I go over it. So yeah, I hope you guys get that. This is 80 pixels in height. And this starts at 80 pixels. So we're making sure that it's under it.
Height of the header is 80 pixels. Our top tab
just skip forward
must
a bit,
start to 0. And
so left 0, this you don't actually need to type, but I'll type it anyway.
Now notice
the left
the
is always 0
doesn't
by
have
default.
any unit like pixels or percent or em. Click it from the list to save time typing, and we'll give this.
Okay, so it looks like he set the Z index here, and then a width and a height as well, which we can see down here. He set the width to 100%, the height to 40 pixels, and the background color to dark green here. So I'm just going to set the Z index to 500, the width to, okay, let me just type this out. Width 100%. Let's do Z index 500. And notice I typed them out in the wrong order here, but it doesn't really matter. So the height is 40 pixels. And then we'll do background color of dark green. Now save this and head back. And now we have the links here. Now obviously we need to style these links up as well, but I'm going to follow along with the video.
This one a background color of A. Now we are referencing the hyperlinks, which...
Okay, so now he's doing the same thing we did up here, which is we want the A tag inside of the tabs top here. So let me do that. And we want to style tabs top, but only the A tags inside of it. Again, if you guys didn't get it the first time, we're styling tabs top here, but only the A tags inside of it. So these are A tags that say A in them. And yeah, that's how selecting multiple selectors like this works. And next, let's see what he did to them.
If you look at our index.html, is these guys. Okay, so what styling will we give these guys? Firstly, we'll float them to the left. Second, display type will be block.
Okay, so float left. So I don't actually use float, so let me just read what it does here. Specifies how a box should be floated. It may be set for any element. Okay, I get it basically. So I want to float to the left and want to do display block here. Usually I'd use something like flex here, display flex to style this. But anyways.
Now remember, display block allows us to give our hyperlinks a width and a height. We'll set the width to 33%. That's pretty much 1/3 of your top 10.
Okay, before that, let me see what it looks like here. Okay, so nothing really changed, I just removed the spacing. And now I want to set the width here to 33%. So that's to make sure that there's enough space for 3 of them to fit here and they're evenly spaced out. So we have one link here, one in the middle here, and then one at the end here. This would look a lot better with the display flex, but anyways, let's just follow along with what he's teaching us here.
The height we'll set to 35 pixels, which is 5 pixels short of the total height of the tab bar.
So let's save this and head back. Now we gave it a height as well, so you can see it pushed down the screen bar a bit.
We'll set the font.
Actually, no, I don't think it did push down the green bar because that's set to 40 pixels here. And this is set to 35, so yeah. It should end just before where the screen bar is. I think what we're doing is just giving ourselves more space to click on. So before this we had to move our mouse all the way up to the top to click on it. And by giving it a height of 35, now we can click on it even down here. Up to about there. Yeah. So let's head back to this.
To 700.
So now he's giving it a font weight of 700.
The color of the text we'll set to white. You can type in the color, or you can type in the hexadecimal code, which will be.
By the way, the thing he's typing here, which is font weight, is basically how bold your font is. So if you set it to a lower number, it would just look like normal text, like how this text looks like. And if you set it to a higher number, it would be like bolded. So like you can see, that's a bit more bold here. It's thicker. And yeah, let's head back.
FFF. In other words, the hash followed by 6 Fs.
And by the way, before I continue here, notice that they're not like, this should be at the beginning, this should be at the middle, and this should be at the end. But if you imagine like boxes here, so like Okay, I can't draw on the screen right now, but if you imagine a box around here, this is actually on the left of the box. So if we want it in the middle, we have to center it based on where it is. I hope that makes sense, but I'm sure you'll do it in this video as well.
Obviously, text align will be center.
Okay, it looks like I just did that right now. Text align center, and yeah, like I explained, they're each taking up this entire box here. So 33% of the screen, and then the second one is from here till here, and then the third one is from here until the end. So by centering it, we're centering it within that box that they take up. I know that's a bit confusing right now because I can't draw on the screen to explain it to you, but yeah.
What's the spelling? And text decoration will set to none.
So the text decoration is what's causing this underline here at the bottom. All links have that by default, so we're just removing it now. So now we head back and there's no underline here.
Now this is to remove the underlines below our hyperlinks. We don't want those underlines because they don't look like buttons in that
Okay,
page. They
so
look like ordinary hyperlinks.
I think we should be done here.
And finally,
the only
we'll
other
give
thing
it
he
a
did here
padding
was
top
padding top of 12 pixels.
of 12 pixels.
And
now
that's
the padding
just
top
to...
will cause...
Okay, so let me give you an example of this. The difference between padding and margin is, if we set padding top to 12 pixels, it will create a space of 12 pixels above here, but the screen background will be in it. If we use margin top, it will create the same space, but there'll be no background in it, and I'll just show you how that looks here. So I'm going to use margin here first, where there won't be any background. And you can see, oh, it does add the background. So you can use padding or margin apparently. Oh, okay. So I was correct, but I'm just assigning padding and margin to the A tag here. So I'm just going to go up a bit here to the actual tab's top, which is the div here. And in this one, if I add margin top, let's say 100 pixels here, and I save it, now there'll be a gap of 100 pixels here. And you can see that in this gap, there's no background color of green. But if I were to say padding here, it would create that same gap, but this time there would be a background color. So that's the difference between padding and margin. And the reason why it does this is padding adds actual space to the element, but margin adds space above or below or left or right of the element. So it's not inside the element, it's next to the element that it's adding that space. So yeah, I hope you get the difference between padding and margin now. I'm going to remove this. And yeah, we're back to how it was before, except places is now out of place here. I added padding instead of padding top. So yeah, now it should be all fixed up. Let me head to the next video here because we're wasting time now. So home page styling, now we're styling the main part of the page. And I'm just going to pause this because it looks like he only does one thing here. Let me just skip through this.
Our index again, lines that need main hidden. Now back in our style sheet, we give this guy a margin top of 120 pixels. Believe it or not, that's about it. Just one line of styling and our main dash home section is already styled.
So it looks like all he did is give it a margin on the top. I already explained what margin is, so I'm not going to explain it again. Let's just type this out. What did we name it here? Main-home. Okay, so it's margin top, and he set it to, I think it was 120 pixels. Yeah, that looks right. Let's see if it did anything. Okay, so we should now be looking the same as his.
Now, back in our style sheet, we see that the header has a height of 80 pixels and the tabs top has a height of 40 pixels. And if we add them up, 80 pixels plus 40 pixels will give you 120 pixels. That's why we give this guy a margin top of 120 pixels.
Okay, so that's how we do it. We're just making sure it starts here and not right at the top of the page, because then this logo and stuff will be covering up the top of the image. Anyways, let's move to the next lesson here. So homepage styles. Now we're styling the bottom tabs.
Just as attractive as the top tabs. Back in our style sheet, we copy the comment. Remember, it's Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste.
Styling the tabs.
We're putting a comment here that says bottom tabs.
Again, make sure everything you spell here is exactly the same.
Now let's look at the name that we've given the div box
link correctly, and then
in our
why these
index.html.
tags are not
The name that
correctly.
we've given it, or the ID that we've given it, is tabs-bottom. Alright, so going back to our style sheet, we type hash tabs dash at the bottom of the screen.
So I'm just going to skip through this because we can just see here what he typed in. So position fixed, and then bottom is 0 and left is 0. Position fixed, bottom 0 and left 0. So what that means is fixed means it will always stay where we put it, and we're placing it on the bottom 0, so right at the bottom, 0 pixels away from the bottom, and then right on the left, so 0 pixels away from the left. And like I mentioned before, we don't need to specify the left here because it's 0 to begin with. But yeah, let's head back. And now you can see the links are here on the bottom. I can't even highlight them here, but anyways, I'm sure you can see them. And they basically stay there in the corner. Okay, and then he's styling specifically the A tags here inside of the tabs bottom. So let's type that out. Before that, I think I didn't complete what was inside of here. So he also did C index 500 and width 100%. So we know what he's doing here. He's trying to space it out the same way we did with the top thing. So width 100%. And then what did he do? C index. I accidentally typed the wrong thing there, but C index 500. And then height is going to be 40 pixels. And then text line will be center. So let's do a font weight as well of 700. So he didn't add, we'll add the font weight into the links down here and the text line as well. But yeah, you can see it on the bottom here. It's basically how we want it. The reason why the text line is inside of, okay, let me just type this out and come back. I'm going to end up confusing everyone. So I'm going to take out text line here and font weight. I'll save this and go back. And now we have it on the side here. And let's see if I missed anything. C index 500, width 100%, height 40 pixels, background color forest green. Okay. So that's now at the bottom here, it matches the top. And now let's style the A tags within the bottom. So here we'll do a hash. Let me make sure I clicked in here. Hash tabs dash bottom, and we want to specifically style the A tags inside of it. And then inside of here we want to give it a float of left display block. Basically the same things we did to the A tags in the top part. So where was it? Basically the same thing we did here with the top tags A's. And yeah, let me just go back. So float left display block with 50%. So we're doing 50% here instead of 33%, because here we only have 2 links. Display block with 50%. And then we're gonna do font weight 700 and text align center. And yep, now it's exactly where we want it to be. And then let's add a padding top of 12 pixels. I'm sure he did that as well. And now it's like properly centered. Okay, so he didn't do the padding top here. He set padding top to none. I'm just going to change that then. It looks better with the 12 pixels as well, but since he has it set to none, I'm going to set mine to none as well. And now it's like stuck to the top here.
We set it at the bottom, so there it'll be stuck.
And he also did
to
text
the
decoration none, so to get rid of the underscore there.
We give it a left of 0, so it will be
So
stuck
save
to the left
that and
as
head
well.
back, and now the
And
underscore
again,
will be gone.
We'll give it a Z index of
And we
500,
set the color to
just
white
like
as
we
well.
did for the header as well as the top tabs. The width
Save this.
will be set,
So now the color is set
guessed,
to white here,
to
just like it is on the top here.
and the height will be identical.
I'm just going to
here
skip forward a bit.
to the left to determine why we are giving these 2 sections, or these 2, the width of the screen. Color to white. Text align. Now notice these 2.
Yeah, so see, they made a mistake here again. They did use padding top of 12 pixels like I said, but in the code down here they wrote none here instead of that 12 pixels. But in the video here you can see that he sets it to 12 pixels there. So I'm going to change it back to how I originally had it and save this. Okay, now it's properly centered just like we had it originally. And let's hit next here now. Okay, so we reached 30%. Let's start the next part. When we get to around 50%, I'm going to end the stream and then pick it back up either later or tomorrow. So add more pages, animal pages. Next we're going to make the animals page. Yeah, let's create one called animals.html. Make sure you type that out correctly. You can spell yours differently, the name, not the .html. It always has to say .html. But yeah, you can spell your name differently. Just remember how you spelled it, because when you link to it, you have to spell it the same. Also, make sure you didn't accidentally put this inside the images folder here. And now once we're inside of it, I'm going to press the exclamation mark and hit tab again to fill this out. And I'm just going to close the index here and the style. We'll open it back up when we need it, but I don't want to confuse anyone when I'm switching between them. So yeah, inside of the body here. Okay, so it looks like he gave us a lot of code to type out here. Actually, no, he just copied the bottom tabs and the top tabs here and the header.
Home page, nothing changes there, and additionally enlarged and blur. In the foreground for HTML, everything in index.html, select it, Control C to copy, back to animals.html, and Control V to paste. So between the two files, all of this, the HTML, the head.
Okay, looks like he's using everything, so I'm going to open up the index here. And don't select like body and header and all of that, just the divs. So the header div, the tabs top div, the main home div, and then the tabs bottom div. And we're going to copy all of that. And let's paste it into the animals thing here. And let's save, and I'm going to add some space in here just so that we can see it a bit better. And you can also press Alt, Shift, and F, and that neatens up the file. I'm going to close this now. So now we're just in the animals file. Make sure you have the correct file opened up here now, because they both should look the same, so you don't want to accidentally be typing into the index file. And yeah, I think we're going to get rid of this map here. Let's head back and see what he does.
Most of the body. Now in the body tag, you look at header and tabs top, as well as tabs bottom, body, and HTML. All of these will be identical. The only thing that's going to change is this section. Div ID is equal to main home, and the image that's inside, this is going to come off, and we're going to put some styling here or some information here that's exclusive to animals.html. Let's start coding. We're going to start off by putting a new div, and we'll give it an ID of main.
Okay, so let's get rid of main home here. We'll do div with an ID of main, press tab, and yeah.
Now, we're going to give this guy an ID of content. You'll see shortly why we are nesting this content div inside of the main div.
Okay, let's just add it as he does. Div with an ID of content. And just create some space here.
Alright, so what goes inside the content? Now inside the content is where all the hyperlinks for the animals will go. So we start off with an A hyperlink tag, and we'll immediately give this hyperlink a class name. And the class name here will be info-box. The href we'll set for the time being to a hash, meaning it will.
Okay, so let's do that now. An A tag, and instead of the hash now we want to use a dot, so this creates a class instead of an ID. And we'll use info-box. We'll press tab here, and now creates an A tag with the class of info-box, and for the href here I'm just going to use hash. And yeah, let's create our spacing as well. We always want to be having our code neat. So here I'm going to create some space in between these tags as well. We always want our code to be neat so that we don't get confused about which tags are doing what.
will go nowhere. Now, what do we put in between the hyperlink open and close tags? Now, a lot is going to go inside here. So what we do is we hit enter a couple of times to move the close tag of the hyperlink a couple of lines below. And here we start putting in all of the things that are going to go inside of this hyperlink. So we start off with an image. We give the image a class of right. And this image will be of...
Okay, let's do that first. So image and dot right. So remember, the dot is how we add a class, and I'll hit tab here. So image with a class of right, and for the source here, I'm guessing it's images / right. Next arrow, let's save this and see if that's what he typed as well.
Of the elephants, not of the elephants, of the right arrow. So we go to images, and the image we're going to put is next arrow.png.
Yep, that's the same image that we used.
The first 3 letters and brackets shows me the right image. So we click on that and we close this tag.
Yeah, let me just get rid of that alt thing as well. I'm not sure why VS Code adds this by default. Actually, I don't know. You should always be filling out that alt because you want your website to work for blind people and stuff as well.
Now this image that we are putting here will be this guy here, the image on the right side, the arrow image. Below that, we put in another image.
So this one will be the elephant image that he shows down here.
Source of images, and it will live in, or it will be images elephant-tn.png. Right, we close that, and
okay, let me check this out as well. It looks like there's no class or ID on that, so I'll just leave it as it is. Image, and yeah, the source will be images / elephant. Yeah, and get rid of this alt here. Save this. Let's look at what this looks like right now. So we don't even see it now. We're on the index page. We'll have to link to that page to get to it, but let's do it with the video. I'm not going to do it myself here because I'm going to end up confusing people.
Next we put in an H3 which will say elephants. We put this in all caps.
Actually, I'm just going to click on the file here to open it because I want to see what it's looking like while we're working with it. Okay, so this is what it will look like for now. We forgot to link the style file here. So at the top of the page in the head section here, we want to do link, and then href will be style.css, or whatever you named your CSS file. Now if I reload here, it will all be correct. Yep. And if you're wondering why we can't see this, it's because remember, this top thing here is not on the screen, it's above the screen. So it's actually covering what's behind it here, which is that first thing that we created here. But anyways, let's head back and see what he does.
And finally, we put a paragraph.
Okay, so he just put an H3 here where he says the name of the animal. H3 elephant. And then a P tag here. And probably a description.
That gives a little description.
I'm just going to copy the description from here because I don't want to type it out myself. Gentle giants of the jungle. I'm going to save that. And now if we head back and refresh, you can see that it's down here. The rest of it is above here, behind this header thing. And I think he'll fix that up in the next video.
Of the elephant.
So
we'll
to
say
fix it, we
temple
need to add
giants
that same margin thingy to the top here of 120
the
pixels
giants.
so that it starts from
We'll
where this
move
ends.
that empty line, and that's it. So we've got our first hyperlink in place. Now we're going to make one for each of the animals that we are going to display in our page. And there's a lot of animals, but the nice part is we simply copy and paste them, and we just need to change a couple of things here, like the image and the H3 as well as the P. Obviously the hash is going to become an actual hyperlink. Now before we check this out in our browser, let's save this. Control S to save. We'll go to index.html, and
okay, so now he's actually creating the links. I'll close this page. And here on the index.html, where it says animals here in the tab's top, you want to change this href here from the hash to animals.html, or whatever you named your HTML file here. And now if we go back, we can click on animals here and it will load up that page. And let's change this map one here to take us back to the home page. So map here, we'll change it to, okay, we'll leave it as hash on the index page, but on the animals page here we want to change it to index.html. So now what will happen is if we click it here, it will take us to the index page. If we click animals here, we'll go to the animals page. Okay.
Here we've got a hash in the hyperlink for animals. We'll change it now to animals.html. So when we refresh the index page in our browser and we click on the animals link, it will actually link to the animals page. So let's save this. And in the animals page where it says map, now remember the map page is in fact our index page. So we'll put in index.html and it takes us to our...
Okay, so that's working now. Let's just head to the next lesson. We're wasting time again.
Let's begin styling our
so now he's
animals.html
adding the style
page.
here. Looks like he didn't add
we're going
much.
to style, looking at animals.html,
And look, they made a
the first
mistake
thing
here
we're going to
again.
style
119
is the
pixels.
ID main and ID
So
content.
don't follow along with the code down here if you're just doing it
Back in our
yourself.
style sheet,
Make sure you're following along with the video, because the code here is wrong. This is the third time now that they typed the wrong thing down here.
let's put a comment.
So let's head to the CSS
to
file.
state that we are now styling the main section.
So we're styling
So
hashtag
we
main.
call this one hash main. That's because in our animals.html we gave the div an ID of main. So we're going to refer to it now with the hash key, hash main. Put in our curly braces. We'll give this guy a margin top of 119
Oh, so you actually did
Now
add
the reason we give
119
this
pixels.
margin is so that the main area...
Let me just add this in and see what it looks like. So margin, wait, did he add padding there? No, margin, okay. Margin top, 119 pixels. And let's save this and see what it looks like. So now we moved it down a bit.
of our page starts 119 pixels from the top of the page so that it doesn't appear below the header and the top tabs. Okay, we give it a background.
So the background will just be this image that it shows down here, map-blur, and then background repeat will be repeat Y. Okay. Background will do URL and then images / map blur, and then background repeat will be repeat Y. So let me save this and go check out what it looks like. And yeah. Okay, so that's what he typed out.
Round brackets and map dash horizontally. Next,
let me make sure I spelled all of that correctly. Here, background repeat, we set to repeat Y. And next we're doing the content section. So the content section is this part here inside of the main section.
Hash content. The content will give a padding top, of 1 pixel and a padding bottom.
Okay, so that's why he set it to 119 instead of 120. So the other one we're putting in here. That makes sense, I guess.
Of 50 pixels. Just some spacing to make it look a little neater.
So padding bottom 50 pixels. Again, make sure if you made it this far into the video you hit subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Let's save this and have a look at it in our browser. Back in our browser, refresh, and you can see it's already taking shape. So
now if you're wondering here why this background image thingy here is not taking up the full height of our page, it's because it's only taking up the height of where is it? The height of this main thing here. And the main thing, it only has a height of whatever's inside of it. So right now I only have one thing inside of it. So it's matching the height basically of this thing we have inside of it, with a bit of extra padding here on the bottom. But yeah, that's why it's not all the way to the bottom of the screen, but I'm sure he'll fix that as we go along.
Everything is pushed down. It's no longer hidden behind the header and the top tabs. The elephant image has appeared, the little arrow image, although it's in the wrong place, the elephant text.
And if you see here, on his it's showing like the image right to the end of the screen. I think that's just because he's looking at it like this. We're looking at it in full screen.
The description. Now we need to style
because we did everything already. Okay, so animal page links.
This hyperlink is called info box. So next comes the styling for the hyperlinks with class name info box. Alright, so we go back to our style sheet and we put in another comment.
Okay, so we want to style the, where is it, info box here, which is the A tag that everything is in. And it's a class, not a ID. So at the bottom here we want to do dot info dash box. Remember the hash is for ID and the dot is for class. So now we add in our curly braces there, and now we can start styling that.
Simply copy this. That looks better. Styling are we going to put into box will have the following styles. Hence we have a dot info box. Now looking at our HTML, a hyperlink with the class name of info box. And
okay, so he's actually saying A with the class name of info box, but it's not really going to affect anything if we don't do that. But anyways, let's just put it there as well. The reason why we'd do this is for if we were naming something else info box as well, but in our code there's only one thing called info box, so whether or not we put this A here, it will still style the same thing.
remember, whenever we're referring to a class, we use the dot character rather than a hash. So any hyperlink that's given a class of info box is going to have these styles. Now, what sort of styles are going to go inside here? We start off with text decoration. Obviously, none. We don't want those underlines to appear. Next, we give it a background. And this background is going to be slightly different. It's going to be a color, but it's going to be a transparent color. It's actually going to be white.
It's not using an image. I'll take out this URL that I typed in.
But slightly transparent. Now to do this, we need to use a different type of color scheme. Up till now, we used either the name of the color or the hexadecimal value hash and some hexadecimal code. Now we're going to use an RGB color. So we use RGBA. Remember, it's RGBA. Make sure you spell that correctly.
Okay, so I just typed that in exactly as he did.
And we put in round brackets. And inside the round brackets, we put in some numbers. 255, comma, 255, comma, 255, comma, 0.8.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause the stream here for a bit. Kind of like a computer literacy video. I noticed that a lot of you that join the courses and stuff for programming ask simple questions like how do we copy and paste, or how do we put images into a folder and stuff. So I'm just making this video to go over everything, and I asked ChatGPT here to give me a list of stuff that I can show you in this video. Also on the bottom left here you can see all the different mouse buttons that I'm pressing, and also when I type you can see the keys down here. So let's start going through this list. So first it says using a text editor. And okay, we're back. So now let's head back and see what they did here.
And semicolon. Now what does this mean? The first three numbers says that this box is going to be white in color. So when you hover over it, you can see the white box appears. And the last part of it, the 0.8, means that this box is going to be slightly transparent. It's going to be only 80% opaque. So 20% transparent. We give it a width of 90% because it's not going to go end to end. There's going to be some space.
Okay, so let's do that now. So width 90%. Save this.
This is on the left and right of this box. I give it a height of 90 pixels. display type will be block.
So we set the height to 90 pixels and the display to block. I'm going to save this.
Margin we'll set to auto because we want this box to be centralized to the screen.
So we set margin auto here. Save that.
Margin top we'll set to 12 pixels.
So here we have margin top to 12 pixels, and I'm going to save that and head back again. And yeah, now it's looking right.
Now this will be the gap between our info boxes. So there'll be a 12 pixel gap between one box and the one above it. That it's padding top or padding bottom or left or right, then the padding appears all around.
So he added a padding of 1 pixel. I don't think that's how he left it though, is it? Yeah. Padding of 1 pixel. So the padding just adds some space all around it. He added margin auto, margin top 12. So yeah, it looks like we've done all the code from this lesson. I'm just going to hit next here because this video is going to be a bit long.
To begin with, we put a style for dot info dash box img. That is any.
Okay, so dot info dash box img. So now we're styling the image that's inside of here, both of the images.
Any image that appears inside the info box class.
So we're setting
simply give it
height,
a
margin, and float left
of
here.
70 pixels.
Height of 70 pixels.
A margin, all round margin
Margin
of 10 pixels.
Okay.
And finally, we float this guy to the left. In other words, this image, this thumbnail image, will always appear on the left side of the box. Let's save this and see if it makes any change. Refresh, and you can see things are already starting to take shape. Now this little guy needs to go to the right side.
So if you see here, in the animals.html file, we gave the arrow, so next arrow, a class of right. So now we can style this image separately from the other images.
But before we style that image, we're going to style the H3. We'll give this guy a padding of 0.
Info box and then a space and
the number
H3
0, remember
here.
that, not the letter O.
Let's see what he gave it. He gave it a padding of 0.
We'll give it a margin bottom.
Margin bottom
of 0 again.
Okay.
We set its width to 90%. And we'll give this guy a color. We'll give it a hexadecimal code of 572800. When you're giving an object, an element, a color in hexadecimal, remember.
Oh, we styled the text here, so we just gave it that color.
To put in the hash, and when you hover over the color, you'll see it's a
going
brown.
to skip forward a bit
We'll give the paragraph
because this
of
video is starting to drag on.
9%. And finally, a color of hash.
Okay, so info box P, we're styling the P tag here. Dot info box P, and we're doing the same thing, margin 0, padding 0. And then the width is 90%. And let's see what that looks like before we continue. So okay, that looks correct.
131313.
Anyways, let's set the color here. So color hash 131313. Save this, head back, and yeah, it looks right.
Let's take a look at this color. Hover over it and you'll now if you take a look at
Okay, so now we're styling the info box class with an image inside of it that has a class of right. So let me type this out here. Dot info box, then we leave a space. We want the image tag, and the image tag must have a class of right, and then we add our curly brackets in here. So there's our info box, and then the images inside of it, but we only want the one with the class of right. So we're styling this tag. And here, well,
there's a lot going on here. What is going on here is
dot info
box
right here.
img dot right. Now how does this translate to our HTML? This means
And
simply
yeah, now it's on the right
any
hand side.
image
Obviously that's a
that
bit
has
wrong. We want
a
it like
class
this,
name of
but it's just because
right
we're looking at it in full
and
screen mode, and
appears
he's looking at it
inside
in
the info
smaller
box
size like this.
hyperlink will have the following styles. Let's look at our HTML again. This may sound a bit confusing, but it's really quite simple. If you take this image, look at the image line that we've put in here. Image class is equal.
By the way, again here we could have just said dot right. Nothing else is going to have this right class on it. But I think he's doing all of this just to demonstrate to you how the selectors work.
To right. So we've set the class name of, this is the guy we are styling now. An image that has a class name of right, of 25 pixels, and
so margin top of 25 pixels.
finally we give him a height of 40 pixels.
Height 40 pixels.
Semicolon. Let's save our work, Control S, and go and refresh in the browser.
And yeah, it looks like that's all the code he added here.
And see what we get. Back in the browser, refresh.
Okay, it might look a bit wrong here, but remember it's just because he's looking at it like this.
Want it. Next thing we're going to do is to add boxes for the remainder animals.
Okay, so I'm going to click next here.
This file, animals.html. We've got our main, id equals main. Inside main, we've got a copy of this entire hyperlink. So you have to be very careful not to copy anything more than that. So select from the open A tag to the close A tag, press Ctrl C. All right, the next thing we do is hit in our browser, refresh, and there we have it. We've got for the time being, we're going to leave the hyperlink href as a hash. All right, we'll leave this image as is. This one does not change. It's the same arrow image. But the one that's going to change is this images.
Okay, so we'll just create another one here for the animals. We saw how he did it. He just selected the A tag here, Control and C, and then we leave some space here and we Control and V. And then now we're working with the second one here, which should be styled in the same way. Yeah, you can see it here.
Elephant tn.png. Let's put in another animals.
So we're just going to change the image
so
here.
Let's look for the next one.
I think
the next one is Gemsbok. So let's go for that one.
Wait, what was that? Okay, let's type that in. Gem. Anyways, we'll type out the name here just as he has it and we'll save. And now if we head back, we see a different image here.
We'll change the text.
Changing the H3 text as well.
And change the description.
Again, I'm just going to copy the description from here. Okay, so now if we head back, we have our second animal here.
For gems. Alright, let's save this, Control S, and have a look at it in our browser. Refresh.
Okay,
and then we put in, sorry, wrong line. We put in another image.
So now he's creating a third one as well. Again, I'll copy this, add some more space down here, paste it in, and then change the image here. Let's see what image he uses.
Thumbnail. So delete the existing image thumbnail, delete the /, retype the /, and you'll get a list of all the images that are in the images folder. So Gemsbok is done. Let's look for the next one, which will be giraffe dash.
Okay, so let's put giraffe here. That's the wrong image. We want to edit the one with the animal image here. Let's put this as giraffe. We want the -tn. And then we'll change this text to say giraffe as well. And yeah, let's head back. So now we have a giraffe as well.
-tn. Make sure you're selecting only the images that
and then
have
for the paragraph
the
here, I'm just going to copy what he has.
By the way. Alright, so we click on that, change the text. Remove the description.
And yeah, that's our giraffe one as well done.
And for the giraffe,
let's look at it like how he has it here. So this is what it would look like.
You can type in a little description there.
Again, if you want to know like how to fix this on a bigger screen like this, I have other videos on my channel for web development and just coding in general.
Save this.
So make sure you subscribe as well, because I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers.
The browser. And there we go. Fantastic. Now in this way, you can add the links for the remainder of the images. Now it's not particularly important in which order you put the animals, but the safest option is to go in the order that brackets shows you in the list of images. That's most likely the alphabetical order of your animals. That would be the safest option, so that you don't leave out any animal.
Okay, so he wants us to add all of the animals in here. I'm not going to do all of that because we already know how to add in the animals and stuff here. And I'm just going to click next here, and we should be at about 50%. Yeah, we're at 52%. I'm going to end the stream here, and then we'll do part 2 either later today or tomorrow. So I'll see you guys in the next video.